And here we are. We are live. Welcome to the Positive Power Hour. I'm your host, Dan McBee, and here's my beautiful daughter, Nicole, my co-host.
Hi,
Welcome, everybody.
everybody.
Yes, hi. I'm glad you're all here tonight. And we've had one of those kind of days where we didn't know what was going to happen from one minute to the next, but that's kind of like how life works, right? Is you just don't know what's going to happen. And so, because we don't know, it kind of reminds us that we are not in control of this show, right?
Nothing.
We have no idea what life is going to bring us from one second to the next. And as we've discussed before, Nicole, when you grow up in drama and in crisis as the daily menu, everything feels like that, right? Every time something happens, it's like, oh my God, this is happening. And now what are we going to do? And oh my God, right? And, the vast majority of us grew up like that, right? And God, I can remember, things happening in my family, my mom and dad and siblings that you look back on it and you go, holy cow, that was really traumatic, right? And so, what has to happen for us to really get our life on track, get to where we really want to go with our life, is we have to be able to stay in the present, right?
Yes.
I was mentioning to a young lady yesterday that the present is the gift from God. That's where all the magic happens, right?
Yes.
And when you are in the present and something dramatic happens, you can respond.
Yes.
Rather than react, right? And if you've gotten to the point where you recognize that you're able to respond rather than react, you recognize that your life is taking on a whole different level. And it's very powerful. That's why we call it the Power Hour, right? Because it really is about gaining mastery over our own mind. And I thought about this the last couple of days about, what every week I go through this. What are we going to talk about on Monday? I mean, goodness gracious, how many times can we talk about positivity, right?
All the time.
All the time. So I was just going to say, the truth of it is, why wouldn't you talk about it, right?
Well, we could talk about negativity.
Well, yeah, goodness, right?
No, thank you.
I saw that one of the, we looked at, Nikki and I both look at every week. We look at the what is the month thing? What do you call that? The
national.
Yeah, national something of the month thing.
What
right?
national day is today?
Yeah, and one of them was National Minority Mental Health Day. Okay,
It would just be mental health.
Well, and and that's kind of where I was going with it too, Nicole, is that mental health is something we all deal with, and yet nobody talks about it, right? It's like the uncle everybody has that nobody talks about, right? We all have one of those, or two or three. Yeah. Anyway, but mental health is that thing that so many people deal with and have a hard time with and don't know what to do about it, because it's like, if you admit you're having mental issues, oh my God, what is that going to do to your life, right?
Well, much like drugs or alcohol addiction, it's got a stigma wrapped around it. So, there's a certain way that people look at that. And I think that's outdated, and we need to revisit that,
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And having gone through my own share of mental health issues, I kind of wanted to go on that tonight too, and kind of talk about that a bit, because, Melinda was brave enough to share her issues, and Kimmy's mentioned some of the stuff she's gone through, and y'all have. I mean, Paul has never had a mental day that you wonder where.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it on the show too. But mine was more situational.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is there is a big difference between situational depression and clinical depression, right?
Right.
And I always joke that of course my wife has depression. She's married to me, right? I mean, that would cause anybody to have issues. But in my own case, I was labeled manic depressive many years ago now.
They would call that bipolar now.
Well, yeah, but I was unipolar, which I don't know if that's how they label it nowadays
I
or not.
think it would be like type A or type 1 or
Yeah, I
type.
know they've got all
Yeah.
kinds of different titles now, right? But
Yeah.
I never had the depression side. I only had the manic side, right? Which was really great for me, but not so good for those around me, right? But that really led me into the work that I do today because that's the funny thing about the tough times that we've had in life, and if we can look, and if we look forward on it, we get to see that all of those things really were what brought you to where you are today, right? And you're buffering a little bit there, Nicole. Are you there? Well, she'll rejoin us, I'm sure, but there she is. It looks like, yeah. Anyway, back to talking about issues. So when I had manic depression, let me get our banners up here too, our comment section up. And by the way, for those of you joining us on the replay, welcome aboard.
Yes.
And for those of you that are joining us now live, welcome aboard. Hopefully, we'll see some people on there soon. But in talking about mental health, they told me that when I had what 3 major manic episodes, and 2 of them, or all 3 of them, put me in the hospital. And there were doctors who thought I would never return from that side of the world, right? And I can go on for days talking about stories and experiences I had that were just the most amazing things. But when you go through something like that, you live your life in a fishbowl because everybody is looking. Are you too up? Are you too happy? Are you too animated? Are you not sleeping? Are so they're just watching every single thing you do. And I think I did share the story about the doctor in Newport in Fashion Island, right? That
Yeah.
showed me that arrow of the eagle flying and then coming down and crashing and burning, right? So that's what led me to the work that I do now because of my knowing that my mind was my problem and I had to find some way of fixing it. I had tried everything, right? Legal and illegal, right? I talk all the time about the 5 things that I used and abused, which was food, alcohol, drugs, sex, and what was the 4th? I don't remember. 4 things anyway. And I overindulged in every single one of them and never did have that peace of mind until I met the man that invented the work that I work in today, right? It's about being able to let go of the energy that builds up in us from our thoughts, our feelings, the social world we live in, and even more dramatically than all of those things is the energy that comes off of electricity called electromagnetic fields. A lot of people talk about it. Not many people have done anything about it. And very few people realize how much it's really affecting them. And it really affected me in a major way. I was living under high tension wires at the time and had no idea. And my friend George said, "Oh, you live under high tension wires, don't you?" And yes, I did. So I know firsthand what happens to people. And it reminds me back to the days of the Roman Empire. Did I tell that story before, Nicole? Either way, it doesn't matter because they're going to hear it again, right? But in the Roman Empire collapsed, and there were many theories about why it collapsed. One of which that was quite strong was actually based on science. And it was the fact that in that time, lead considered a luxury item. And so the rich all and powerful had everything made out of lead. Their shields that they would wear, they would even have their drinking cups made out of lead. And their whole sewer system and everything was made from lead. And so the scientists came to the conclusion that what really brought the empire down was lead poisoning.
Oh.
That actually drove them all crazy.
So were they rich?
Well, they were at the time, yeah. But the point is that they didn't know that that was what was happening to them, right? And we're going through that very same thing again now with our modern inventions, right? And electricity, God knows we all want it, we all like it, we all need it. But there's a negative side to it. And that was what my friend had discovered many years ago, was that electricity was really causing us to have our energy distorted physically, emotionally, and mentally. So when I first started wearing the units that I started with back in those days, I would put them on and it would be like, oh my God, so there was such a grounded feeling about it, right? And the calmness. I mean, it was like, wow. I used to love taking Valiums because I had so much more energy than I could deal with. That the Valiums would just kind of bring me down to somewhat normal, right?
What would be Valiums today? Because I don't know what Valiums are.
I don't know if they even use Valium anymore, do they?
Okay. I don't
Yeah,
think
I don't know. Probably, what is one of the ones, Prozac or not? Prozac,
I know
no,
what you're
that's not
talking
the one
about.
I'm thinking of. There's some tranquilizers out that people still use, right?
Yeah.
And some people need it once in a while, and I get it, right? But for me, I didn't like it because it would make me, make me like, oh, see, it works now. It would make me tongue tied. I couldn't get my words out very well, right? My speech would be, ugh. So that
Xanax.
was Xanax. Yes. There we go. I wonder who that is.
Yes. Nailed it.
Huh?
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Xanax. Yep. And I wonder who that is. Can you identify? It would be great. But if not, that's okay.
It's a little delayed, so maybe we'll find out later.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll get that off of there. Yeah, let's close that. All right. So yeah, so that was when I had my first balancing, what we call an energy balancing with these things.
David. Yeah.
Hey, David, welcome. Glad you're here.
Of course you knew, David. Right? Just kidding.
Hey, yes. In fact, I was thinking about David just yesterday, wondering, where is he? I haven't heard from him in quite some time. Glad you're here. Yes. So anyway, I would, when I had my first balancing, laying on a floor, right, in Costa Mesa in this little house, and getting up off the floor and just having absolutely no tension in my body anywhere, I thought, now this is what I was always trying to achieve. I would try it through food, through alcohol, through drugs, through sex, and I get just maybe that moment, right? Yeah, I know you've never had sex. It's that moment of quiet and enough calm that would, it was like, I need to escape from this. And I knew my mind was the problem, but I didn't know how to fix it, right? Now I went to therapists, I went to doctors, I went to self-help meetings. I just did everything you could possibly name to try to figure out what was wrong with me and how could I fix it, right? And I'm sure that I'm the only person on earth that's ever had that kind of a situation, right? Yeah. Not. But here's the thing. I didn't have to work hard at it anymore.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't have to wonder why I was so deeply flawed, because I wasn't. And neither are you.
That's right.
right? Neither are you. And you don't have to work so hard to make your life work for you. And as we mentioned on this program many times, and I'll do it until I drop anyway, there's an easier way. And the easier way is simply to wear a whisper. I know it seems weird that a little plastic thing could make such a difference in your world, but it does. For 40 years now, I've been doing this work. I know what they do, right? All you have to do is start wearing them. Now, about wearing them, when I first started wearing them, I would feel so much better. My thinking would get so much clearer, and my racing mind seemed to finally calm down, right? And I thought, I've got it now. And I'd put them in my drawer, and I'd forget to wear them on Monday, and then I'd forget to wear them on Tuesday, and then maybe I'd remember again and wear them on Wednesday, and
I'm not wearing mine today.
yeah. Exactly
Full disclosure.
Right? Yeah. And then after a while, it'd be like I'd go a month without wearing them, right? And I'd go see my friend Georgie, and look at me, he goes, "You're not wearing them, are you?" And I go, "No, I forgot. I left them in the drawer," right? And I went through just a roller coaster of experiences because of that, right? Because that ego has to think, first of all, that I can fix it. I don't need some darn little thing to do it, right? And then how in the world could a little piece of plastic be making any kind of difference like that? It doesn't make any sense. It's just plastic, right? But it makes a difference. I promise you, it really and truly does. But wearing them is really the key. I really and truly don't know anybody who has been more diligent at wearing them as consistently as I do.
Yes.
And it really is the key. And I'm going to repeat that over and over and over for people that, decide that they want to take that step and learn how to do things an easier way for yourself. Wearing them is the most important part. So if you decide to try them for yourself, just let me know. I'll put the banners up that have all the different ways. You can even book an appointment with me to where we can talk one-on-one on video or whatever way you want to do it. There's my phone number. There's my email address, right? And there's my website, and I even have an appointment calendar on there where you can even book your own appointment to come talk to me on the phone or talk to me on video, and we can talk about what your issues are and how we can help you address those and make your life work in a much better way. I can tell you from personal experience and having helped an awful lot of people for an awful long time that where am I? There we go. We've got the peanut gallery working with us.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right. That's all right.
Wherever I am, they are, and that is
They are.
beautiful. Actually,
they're your little children, right?
They love my energy. If I'm on my computer, my laptop, whatever, they're right by me.
Of course. Yes. So it's an easier way of getting where you want to go, right?
Yeah.
And being a person that has to always do things myself and fix everything myself, it was a real tough thing to finally surrender to the fact that energy filter, y'all know what filters are, right? I mean, you have filters on your water, right? On your refrigerator, you got a water filter and you got an air filter. You got filters on your car of all different kinds. And, everything has a filter. And some people wish I had more of a filter on my. But these are just simple energy filters that filter the subtle energy that you can't see and most of us can't feel, but it works. I mean, you start to wear it, even if it's in your drawer, right, Nicole?
That's right.
But you start to wear them and you'll start to notice that there's this calming effect that's happening to you, right?
Yes.
And the main thing about wearing them all the time, number one, is the fact that we're bombarded by this energy 24 hours a day. Even when we sleep, the house is still full of energy too, right? And this energy throws our body, our mind, our emotions out of balance. And it makes it harder for you to create the kind of life you want to create. Hi, Kimberlyn. Glad you're here. Welcome aboard.
Awesome.
Yes. And so that's my big pitch for the night. I don't want to pitch too much about whispers, but really the whole idea is that I want to help you make your life work better for you, right? And you can't get where you want to go if you don't know where you are, first of all. And you can't get to where you want to go if your mind's constantly sabotaging you.
Or how about this one? If you don't know where you want to go.
Yeah. Right? Like everybody wants to be successful, but they haven't even defined what success is for them. Perhaps successful is just being able to get up every day and go through the day. For some people, that would be success, right? I mean, I always say that unfortunately, I'm more of a human doing than a human being, right? I'm always doing stuff, and I probably get more done in the morning before I go to work than most people get done all day. And that's just the way things are for me, right? Now, not every day am I that ambitious and that active, but most days.
Yeah.
So, but it's much easier now, right? It's much easier for me to focus on where am I wanting to put my energy? What am I trying to create? Because we are co-creators, right? Who are we co-creating with, Nicole?
God.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew she'd know that answer. Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding. I win.
Yes, absolutely. And what does she win, Monty?
I don't know.
A nice life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I know that, right?
Yes.
I know that I can't do this on my own.
No.
And I've been shown that over and over and over.
Yeah. Well, and we talk also a lot about how we became powerless, right? And most of the time that was caused by not understanding who God is and who we are, and that relationship between God and ourselves, right? The fact that we have that little spark of God within us. It's like if we don't know that, we're powerless. If we don't know that power we're trying to have is already within us, we're going to keep looking outside of us, right?
Not where it is.
Yeah. It's like, there's that fable, I think it's a fable, a story anyway, about God wanting to hide someplace where it would be difficult for his children to find him, that they'd have to hunt for him, right? And so he's asking Moses, well, what do you think? Should I hide on the top of a mountain? He goes, well, they'll probably climb up and find you there. He goes, well, how about down in the desert? How about that? He goes, well, they'd probably end up finding you there. And he says, well, how about a cloud? He goes, well, they got planes and stuff now. They'd probably find you on the cloud too, right? Oh, gosh. So where can I hide that they won't find me? And Moses says, how about right inside?
Mm.
Yeah. Right? I don't know if it was Moses. I don't remember. But the story.
Nice story.
Yeah, the story is the same regardless, right? The name change to protect the innocent. Yes, we have God right within us. We have that spark of him, that connection with him right inside us. And we all try to look for God outside. Right? And so the more we develop that relationship with him inside ourselves, it's like when we talk about meditation, my teacher would say, when you start to meditate, say hi to God. The minute you close your eyes, say hi to him, because that's where he is. He's inside, right?
Yeah.
So think about that. What does that really mean? Give it some thought for yourself. If God is right within you, what does that mean? we've been conditioned by our family, by our friends, by our workplace, by our society, by advertising and everything. There are some people who are powerful and most of us aren't, and that's just the way it is, right? So what's my favorite saying, Nicole, about the huddled masses?
Living in quiet desperation.
Living in quiet desperation. That's where the powerless live, right? In that state of quiet desperation.
Yes.
I know you've never been in there, Nicole. You've never had a moment of quiet desperation.
Oh, sure. We all have.
It
doesn't make, I don't want to segregate because that makes you different, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no. that's my point, is that we've all had that, right?
Yes.
And it's not a place I ever want to go to again.
No, thank you.
It is such a dark, lonely place to live in. And if you're connecting with that thought, that feeling of quiet desperation, that's why we're here. We're here for you. We're here to help you understand who you really are and how powerful you really are, how much of a difference you make every single day, and you just don't realize it, right? And when you do realize it, it's such an amazing thing. I mean, I know I make a difference every single day, and I don't have to do much, right? Sometimes just a smile changes everything. And we have another Facebook user here with hearts. Yay.
It might be the same.
Huh?
It might be the same, no?
David? No, David identified, right? Or he put his name in. Maybe that is him. Anyway, we'll find out. But yes, when you get out of that quiet desperation, excuse me, I was thinking about that fact today, as a matter of fact. Zay, hey, welcome. Glad you're here. Nice. About the fact that when we get to realize the impact that we have on people. Oh, that's where it was. When we're self-absorbed, and most of us go through a fair amount of our life being totally self-absorbed, right? Especially, up to probably your 30s, you're pretty much self-absorbed. And everything is about how life is affecting you, right? And that's that disempowerment that we're talking about, right? It's like, my life would be perfect if only she'd change, if only that job was better and this was different. And
look inside.
Yeah. When you take responsibility and say, okay, it's on me. That's where I was thinking about. I was thinking about how in some areas there's this thing called doing an accounting.
Oh.
Right? And that to really get yourself on track, it's great to do an accounting of yourself every night.
An inventory?
Inventory, yeah. An inventory.
Same thing.
Not what went wrong out there, but what went wrong in here, right?
Mm-hmm.
What could I have done differently to have made that outcome a more positive outcome? Or what can I learn from that experience, right?
Yeah, not to beat yourself up.
Nope, not to beat yourself up. Just to look on the ledger sheet and say, okay, what kind of adjustments can we make, right?
Yes.
I had a day last week. I was just hit with some people that were just not in a very good place, right? And there were like 4 or 5 of them, almost one after another, right? And it's like, oh my God, what the heck is going on, right? And after a while, it can take a toll on you, right? I mean, you can only take a beating for so long, right? And I found myself in a place that I didn't like within myself. And I went home and I looked at it and I said, okay, we have to do it. We have to make an adjustment here. So that was that. What did you call it again?
Inventory?
Inventory. That's the kind of inventory thing I'm talking about, right? Is not, like my wife has 1 point here, my daughter has 1 point here, my dog has 1 point here. All of these people messed up my day, right? No, it's what did I do to mess up my day? Because it isn't what goes on the outside.
Nope.
It's what's going on the inside. And when you get that clarity, again, your empowerment grows. The being out of the huddled masses grows. And the more that becomes your habit of taking that self-responsibility, nobody can make me unhappy unless I let them.
Say that again.
Nobody can make me unhappy.
That's right.
Unless I let them. Right?
Yes.
And what I've learned to do more and more when somebody is having a really bad day and they're demonstrating it on me, I will say, I hope the rest of your day is a tranquil one, sir. Right? Because that's what I wish for them. Rather than, that thought that I would normally have was, asshole.
The one I'm practicing the most lately is bless them, change me.
Bless them, change me. Nice. Yeah. Yeah. And you're not going to change them, right? And who was it? Somebody was telling me, I don't know, it'll come to me, about that kind of thing, about the fact that, people that are miserable just want to be miserable. And you're going to try to take that away from them. Right?
Let people be people. And that's the funniest statement that you can make, because they're going to be who they are anyways.
Yeah.
Not because I let them.
Right. Yeah. You're not going to have anything to do. But I was reading an article about a woman that's a therapist who would talk about the way to handle negative situations with people, right? How to respond to somebody who's not being nice, right? And the phrase that she said was the most powerful was, "Are you okay?"
That sounds passive aggressive.
All right. Are you okay?
That sounds passive aggressive.
Oh, but it might make them wonder, what? Are you okay? But it's to de-escalate the situation. And it's not, being an a-hole about it, but it's having concern. Are you okay? Are you all right? Because there are times, I'm sure, and we've all had those moments where we've been so frustrated over something that we would kind of take it out on the poor clerk, or whoever, customer service or whatever, who really hadn't. In fact, I can tell times on the phone where I'd be so frustrated over something I was trying to get fixed, and I'd have to stop and say, "I'm sorry. I know I don't mean to take it out on you. It's just that you're the person here, right? I'd take it out on somebody else if I could." But we all have those kinds of situations, right? And you said something a few minutes ago about don't beat yourself up, but just acknowledge that I could have handled it better, right?
Yeah, and that inventory is not meant about, like, I'm more geared towards solution, right? So I'm trying to get to where I need to be fixed, right? But that inventory that you're talking about, like at night to review our day, it also works well to add to the plus side, your assets. What did you do well in the day? Because we can beat ourselves up like nobody,
Right. Yeah. And you're right. Both sides of those things are very important. And too many times, especially when we're used to really beating ourselves up, we'll languish on the negative one, right? On the negative ledger, and just, add, and then I did this, and then I did this, and then by God, I did this. And, it's like, oh my God, right? Without any look at what were the things I did today that I really liked, right? Because there are things.
Yeah.
And what's that old saying about what you give attention to expands?
Yep.
right? So if you're being negative on yourself, that's going to expand.
Yes.
And for most of us, until we start to turn that ship around, we talk about that all the time, right? That, changing from pulling from the negative to the positive is like a big ocean liner trying to turn in the ocean, right? You can't do a quick U-turn. It takes a long time to turn it around. Look at this. Cheryl
Hi,
says, we
Cheryl.
have to remind ourselves, don't let others steal your joy.
Yes.
That's right. Well, they can't steal it if we give it, right? But yes, and yes, and we do that, don't we? We will give it up, especially if we aren't real centered.
Yep.
Yes. If we aren't real centered on who we are and what our priorities are, right? I'm always a believer in short-term suffering. I don't like to suffer any longer than I absolutely have to, right? I'm a feel-good junkie. I love feeling good, right? And why not? Here's another comment. Awesome. It's more exhausting beating ourselves up daily than it is to just let
Let
go.
it go. Yeah.
Yes. Now, I know, Kimberlyn, that you never beat yourself up, right? Ever. We all have done it.
Yes.
We all do it, right?
It's a practice to not do it.
Yes. Well, we've talked about this before, about our own evolution, right? I wish. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. We are all evolving, we would hope, right?
Yeah.
There are things I used to believe 40, 50 years ago that now I would never, ever, ever think that way, right? But it was what I knew at the time.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I opened up and took a look around and said, "Oh, wait a minute, does this make sense to me?" Right? And so and like you're saying, we have to get into that practice of not beating ourselves up and letting go but it doesn't come quick and it doesn't come easier. It comes easier if you are just a little comment there. Sorry. But but it takes practice. And it has to be positive practice, right? You can't keep thinking negatively and go, well, I'm practicing. Yeah, you're practicing the wrong thing.
Some people say like, well, I'm getting better. At least I didn't punch him in the face today.
Yeah.
That's not better. I'm sorry.
So and like we talked about, you can't get to where you want to go if you don't know where you want to go.
Right.
Right. So, hi. Yay. Look at that. He actually got on. Yay. How about that? Yay. And my thoughts and prayers with you, Garrett. Yeah. So going back to the practice, if you don't know where you want to go, you're not going to be able to get there, right? And so we have to pay attention to, we were talking earlier about success, that most people want success, but they haven't even defined what success means to them, right? Let's celebrate. That's exactly right. Absolutely. Getting to where we want to go requires knowing where we started from and how we're going to get there. You got to have a roadmap, right? And so that's what we offer here on the Power Hour, is we help you with your roadmap. Where are you now? Who are you now? What area could you use some help with, right? It's like mental health, right? We're too afraid to raise our hands and say, hey, I kind of need some help here. I'm struggling, right? When most of the time there are plenty of people around us who have gone through exactly what you're struggling with, who could help you see through the forest in just a heartbeat if we just raise our hand and say, hey, I could use a hand here, right? So, we're all like that, right? We don't want to admit that we need help because that would mean that we're weak. And no, actually, it means that you're strong.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have become valuable enough to yourself to say, I want to live a better life.
Yes.
Whatever way that is, whether it's at work or home or whatever the situation is, your own thinking about yourself, right? If you don't look in the mirror and go, God, I really like me, right? Most of us grew up with the idea that if you think well of yourself, you're vain.
Yes.
Especially women get that a lot, I'm sure, right? Because you're judged by your outer package. And and most of the women would look at their own selves and go, well, I'm flawed here and there and this and that, and us men go through it too. Let's be honest, right? We're not excluded from the club, right? I have no hair, so what, right? But we all go through those things. But when you building your self-esteem, is even more important to really be clear about what you're really good at, right? And so many times whether it's marriage, whether it's children, whether it's work, we put ourselves in situations that aren't natural for us, right? It's like somebody who is extremely introverted being put on stage and asked to perform.
Yeah. Being a mom wasn't given mom skills, right?
Right.
Some of that is natural, but it's a learned behavior. It's a learning process. When you don't know, you can do a little better when you do know,
Yeah. And again, reaching out and saying, hey, I kind of need some help with this, right? I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
That takes courage. It's a risk, right? Because you're risking that somebody might ridicule you, right? So do your due diligence. Make sure that the person you're reaching out to is somebody that you feel safe with. Someone that's giving you that. Huh?
That will encourage, yes.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And that, is that has what you want, right? It's like you wouldn't go to somebody living on the streets to ask them how to build wealth, right? Let's hope not. So reach out. If you there's always somebody. And I'm hoping that if you are on our broadcast, whether live or watching the recording, that you might feel that one of us might be able to help you.
Yes.
And if so, let us know, right? Just let us know and we'll help you. It's really that simple. And we'll end our show in a little bit here, but we have our send-off that we end every show with, right? And I love it. I love doing that. And I think you do too, Nicole. Am I right?
Yeah. Let me tell you a story about that.
Oh, please.
Yes. I was going through one of our favorite stores, Pop. I won't name the name, but there was somebody at the end of when you're leaving the store that checks your receipts. And I just looked up at her and I smiled, gave her one of my smiles.
Yeah.
And her name was Nicole, spelled exactly the same way.
How about that?
And she said, thank you for that beautiful smile. I needed that.
Yes. You see, it happens every day in my life. And I think it's so cool, right? It takes absolutely no energy whatsoever. And yet it can change somebody's life, literally.
Yeah.
How powerful is that? And yet most of us don't think we have that within us, that we have any of that ability to heal. That's healing, folks. Just giving a smile, a wink, an acknowledgement. I've told that story on our show here about working out in front of a health food store, right? Doing balancings on a massage table out in front of a retail store. And a young lady walked by and I just saw her and I said, "Hi, how are you?" And she started crying. I said, "Oh, I didn't mean to upset you." And she goes, "No, I've spent the entire day feeling totally invisible, that nobody even knew I existed. And just like that, you walk up, I mean, I walk up to you and you see me, right? See what a difference we can make? How amazing is that? So if you think you're powerless, you're wrong. And I mean that in the most gentle terms. Your thinking isn't right, okay?
Yes.
And that's really, it's what's wrong in all of our lives, is that our thinking isn't straight, right? Because if you realize the inheritance that you have already been given, you would realize how rich you are,
Yeah.
right? Now, richness doesn't necessarily equate to money. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with money. It's what we do with it that is either right or wrong, right? The love of money is
Yes.
perhaps an issue that people need to look at. And I think there's a lot of people that need to look at that, right? It's really about helping to enrich the quality of one's life. And watching families come through my line, and the little kids and their parents, and just that whole thing. It reminded me again tonight on going through the thought of the month, or the flavor of the month, or this is the month of da 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 da. One of them was minorities, right? And I think about this one frequently, because it kind of comes up in so many different ways of our political life that we're living today. And that is the fact that whether you're Jewish or Catholic or Hindu or Buddhist or Muslim or whatever religion you are, no matter what color skin you have, no matter where you came from or what nationality you are, everybody has the same thing. They want to provide for their family. Everybody wants to provide a better life for their children than they had for themselves. And I don't think there's anybody that's excluded from that group, which makes us all one, doesn't it?
Yes.
Right? So there is no minority. We're all the same.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, and we all have the same beating heart, not, has different valves, that are clear and some that aren't, but,
We
it's
all
all
have
the
that
same.
spark of God within us, right? As the old saying goes, God doesn't have any grandchildren,
Right.
right? We're all his children.
Yes.
And if we could just remember that, perfect sense, somebody said. Very nice. Thank you. Yes, I think so. So that's what I try to remember, no matter, and I get every walk of life you could imagine walking by me every day, in this job that I'm doing. And I love that part of it. If anyone were to ask me, what do you love about your job? I'd say the people, right? I say, yeah, I've got a great job. I get to meet great people all day and take money. I mean, how tough is that, right? Except for those sums that, kind of need to break, right?
Oh yeah, I wanted to add to that, Pop, because
What was that?
that old saying that if you see, four jerks in in a room, who's the jerk?
Exactly right. Well, yeah, and the other one was, if you see, the one out of every three people are clinically insane. So if you're around a couple of people and they look all right, guess what?
Just saying.
Yep, look at that. Absolutely. Look for the similarities, not the differences,
Thank you.
right?
Yes.
We're all, we're all parents. We're all somebody's, son or daughter. We're all, and that's exactly the point. We're all the same.
Yes.
Just a little different, right? Not we're hugely different and there's some similarities. It's the other way around. We got it backwards, right? It's like we all ought to be working 2 days a week and have 5 days off. We're doing it wrong.
I agree.
Yes, absolutely. But of course, if you're a guy like me, you're going to work anyway, so it doesn't matter, right? So anyway, I'm really grateful everybody is on with us tonight. If you're struggling at all, again, reach out, let us know. We're more than happy to talk. We're more than happy to, give a thought, give a little encouragement, and we're here for you. We want to help. All right? Want to make life better for you. If I can make one person's day a little better, it's a rich day, right?
Absolutely.
And then don't forget this one.
Be still and know that I am God.
Yeah. You can't hear God if your mind is racing. You can't live in God's grace if you're full of fear. It's just not, it doesn't work, right? But when you're in that state of grace within yourself, see, God sheds that grace on us. It's not something that we manufacture, right? In fact, somebody literally asked me that one day. I want to know how to create grace because I see you in it all the time. And I said, well,
I think the definition is unmerited gift.
Unmerited gift. Absolutely. Yes. And I say, I can't tell you how. He says, I want to know how you do it because I watch you walk around and everywhere you go, it's quiet and calm and peaceful. And I want to know how you do that. I said, I can't tell you that because it isn't something that you consciously do, right? It's who you are. And when your energy is calm, it affects that whole area around you, right? And so, the old saying about being able to be the calm in the middle of the storm, right? If you can be in the eye of the storm, everything is calm and peaceful in there. It's all that energy on the outside that causes all the destruction, right? But inside, it's calm and peaceful. And that's where we want to be. Doesn't mean that we are dull people. I've seen that so many times that people are afraid to quit using drugs or quit using alcohol or quit using whatever because then they won't be exciting anymore. They'll be boring, right? And maybe even family members that say, "Oh, I can't handle this. You're boring. I want you to drink again, or I want you to, whatever, because you were the life of the party."
They weren't saying that about me.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. But it's
see that last one there.
What's that? Oh, I didn't get the comments. Let me get it here. Give love. Give love, you give God. When you receive love, you receive God. Ah, very nice. Thank you, Gary. Yeah.
So you got a lot of love in your life.
And then Kimberlyn said, and share a little love.
A little love.
Share a little love, right?
And the one before that, I don't know if that's.
Some guy told me that 15 years ago. I wonder who that was. Probably some idiot.
No. No. It was him.
Well, I've been very blessed to have really wonderful people in my life that, I get to share some of my experiences with and help them to see that, who they really are, right? Because we forget, right? Or some, in my case, I didn't even know who I was for a long time, right? Had no idea. And that dog in the background had no idea either, right? All right. Well, guys, I want to thank you all for being with us tonight. I hope that maybe there was one pearl that reached you tonight that makes it worth this time that you've spent with us. I don't want to waste your time because I know our time is precious, right? So I want to do everything I can to help you get where you want to go. So Nicole, as we wrap up our program tonight, if you were to see somebody like that young lady at the Costco line who
you said
it who could use a smile, or if you see somebody without a smile, what should you do?
I should give them one of mine.
There you go. And why would you do that?
Because it makes them feel good and it's free.
And it makes you feel good too, right?
Yes.
That's the awesome thing. You can't outgive God, can you? but the more you try, it's just amazing. So we love you guys very much. Even those of you I've never met, I still love you, right?
Yes.
And if there's anything we can do to help you, David, I would love it if you would give me a call soon. All right. We haven't talked in way too long. So,
I love you too, Kenny.
look at that. Yep. Yes. And there, you told me that. It's David again. Yes, David. I appreciate you so much. And yes, I would love to talk to you very soon. All right. So for Nicole and my entire family and everybody that I've ever known, thanks for being with us tonight. And we will see you next week right here on the Power Hour.
Yes. Have a great
night,
week.
everybody. A great week.
Yes.
Make it positive. Bye.